Hello and welcome to the weekend edition of Journalist Hangout. I am Cyril Jh. Today on the program, President Buhari sets to convene a national economic conference, and Benue State Governor says the killings in his state are getting out of hand. And what's happening over there, we'll find out very soon. And Journalist Hangout starts now. Another humanitarian disaster is happening right now in Benue State. It's the bloody killing of more than 145 persons by suspected murderers, Fulani headsmen, that violently invaded 25 communities in Agatu local government area of the state. The killing started on February the 22nd this year. And as we speak, some persons might be killed in the process or get killed. And many villagers have become refugees in their state. Their settlements have been destroyed, seemingly, and overwhelmed by the sad situation also. And Governor Samuel Otom of Benue State ran to the presidency on Thursday to seek help. He said the situation is getting out of hand. 145 persons are no longer part of Nigeria's 170 million population. That's a very sad one. They were brutally murdered in the means or to feed cows. States like Taraba, Nasarawa, Plateau, Kaduna, and Katsina have had such a bitter experience recently. How did we get here, and how come taking lives, human lives, is now as easy as drinking a cup of water? And should people die because Fulani headsmen wants to feed their cows? There are lots of questions there. It's a very sad situation, and I'll be sharing this situation with my colleagues today. And they said ladies first, and let me start with BC Alabi. Thanks for having you around today.
Thank you.
And also I have Cyril Abaku. Nice hanging out with you also.
Thank you, Dapo.
And Chidi Obineche is around. Thank you very much for joining us. And we need to let's take a look at this report packaged by one of our correspondents.
Getting out of hand. Right now, as I talk to you, several settlements have been raised down, and undisclosed number of people are killed, and my people are refugees all over the place. And I cannot sit back in Benue State when such a thing is happening. After I've done my best, the security agencies within Benue State are also trying. The police, the army, the civil defense, and the SS, we've been in touch, and we'll be holding series of meetings. But it is really alarming that both the state and federal government, there is need for us to come together and do something, because Benue State is not just peculiar. I am aware that this is also happening in other states too. And like I keep advocating, there is need for us to find a lasting solution, which is ranches. That is the global best practice. That is what is happening everywhere in the world. The land that used to exist in 1950s, when we had cattle routes and grading areas, the land is no longer there. It's the same 923,000 square kilometers that is existing. Now, then the population of Nigeria was how much? Less than 60 million. Today, we have a population of over 170 million. How do you cope with allowing grazing areas and all that? But what I've been telling our people is what we need as a lasting solution is ranches. But for now, we must sheath our sword. We must learn to live with one another. The herdsmen must appreciate that the farmer lives on his farming. And the farmer too must appreciate that the herdsman lives on his cattle. And so there must be mutual understanding so that we work together and achieve peace.
The governor of Benue State, Samuel Otom, there, a very sad man indeed. Let me go to you now, Dr. BC Akinlabi. What do you think about this situation happening there? People are being killed on a daily basis just because some people need to feed their cows.
It is very unfortunate, and as usual, we tend to get this sort of nonchalant attitude from the government, so to speak. we're having this situation because government is not leading in that sector. Every socio-economic sector in a country should be led by the government. Government should show responsibility. Government should show that they are responsible for people, everybody, including children and the elderly. So what do we need to do right now? Government needs to wade in and, first of all, support the Fulani herdsmen and give them education in the language that they can understand. When I say education, I don't mean formal type of education, but give them enlightenment, advocacy, and train them on how to do this thing properly.
I think the first enlightenment to give them is they should know not to kill people. People should not be killed anyhow.
Yeah.
Because do you think these people should be brought to a round table to talk to like that, as in a pleasant way?
Well,
because what they're doing is
to start with, if people have committed crime, they need to be held responsible for those crimes and they need to be brought to the book. Even though they will come to the round table, that will be those who have not killed. Those who have killed must face the full wrath of the law. There should be no compromise in that, because there's the law applies to everybody. Nobody's above the law. So if you kill, we have a constitution in this country that's spelled out what should be done to people who commit such crime. They should face that, and at the same time, we should be thinking about sustainability. Sustainable cattle farming, that is what we need. And not even that, there are so many other issues around the world regarding cattle rearing. Humane cattle rearing, that's where the world is going now.
Yes.
And you can see even the conditions they expose their cattle to, it's not the best in the world. Those sort of meat will be banned in developed countries because the animals have suffered. They have walked long distances, just grazing. What they should do, Nigeria should put together experts in the Ministry of Agriculture or in the agricultural discipline, come together and understudy places like Ireland. Their main GDP in Ireland is beef exporting.
Yes.
The same thing in Netherlands. So, and how do they do this? When you go to their farms, you find out that the people who owns the cattle also owns the pasture. So they have large farmland, whereby they keep the animals on one side and they grow grasses, edible grasses, for them to come and graze. And in addition to that, they also fortify their herds with grains, fortified grains, so that they can be fattened and yield better meat. So the first thing we need to do here, and which makes me really mad as an education journalist, is that we do not have anybody telling us to do the right thing.
The right thing, and that's where the government comes in, really. She's saying that if the government had led in this campaign, these deaths now should have been avoidable or avoided. What do you think?
I would like to speak beginning from the human angle aspect to this matter. I appreciate Dr. Alabi's intervention,
Aki Alabi.
Yes, Dr. Aki Alabi's intervention in terms of the socio-economic, variables involved. But my bigger worry, Dakpo, to be very honest with you, what the Fulani herdsmen are carrying out is genocide. That is the simplest way I can say it, is genocide. If you look at what the reports are saying online, 100, 145, 145, but it's a lie. Even the governor had to choose his words by saying undisclosed number of persons. And as outlined, the reports were filed to the media, yesterday. Indigenous in the community are saying that in a place like Ayila, for instance, killings were still going on. And when we talk of Fulani herdsmen, we are tempted to look at people, some ragtag group of people who just want to feed their cows or their cattle, and they're just moving from place to place. But it's a lie. The attack that took place in Agatu village was with the help of aerial support.
You mean from helicopter or something?
Yes, there was a helicopter involved. If you look at the reports, that went in from Nasarawa State and was supplying food and ammunition to the rampaging herders. So we are up against a sophisticated military tech level, invasion. Now, even in this Agado community in Benue State, for instance, herdsmen have been living with them side by side for years and years. But I think it was around 2013 that these attacks began to take place. They come from River Benue, then from Kogi, from Nasarawa mainly, come and launch attacks, and systematically they have been displacing communities in Agatu
for a long time.
The community leaders had to go to the governor to say, look, we can't help this matter again. What are we going to do? For the governor to have run to Abuja tells you that something bigger than what we are seeing is clearly at stake. And for those who will easily tell you that, look, let's have branches and let's sort this matter out. Honestly speaking, the matter of the Fulani herdsmen is beyond the socio-political and even the socio-economic and the humanitarian angle. It is a political issue.
A political issue.
It constitutes part and parcel of the national question in this country. People say that we should build ranches across the country, and I ask, I come from the Niger Delta, okay? And we are fishermen predominantly. I mean, we farm as well. But if I were to be a fisherman from Delta State or from River State, does that also apply that we can pass a national law that empowers me to go to the Kebbi State government to say, apportion some land of the Arugungu fishing, whatever to me. Let it be for fishing for me. Let it be, a fishing settlement for me. Because when they say build ranches, on whose land?
Exactly.
Government has to come and look. I am unhappy, okay, that even when the herdsmen went and kidnapped Chief Olufalaye, the government delayed for days until the federal government issued a statement. And to cap the embarrassment, the police IG had to come down by himself. And then whether what happened was a release or a rescue till today remains controversial. But at least we know that at some point we were told that money was paid, and what happened was actually a release, not a rescue. Therefore, I am asking, a matter that is involving not just the northern states. Maybe you look at the fact that the militants in the Delta remain in that domain to cause crisis, and then drag federal government attention to themselves. Boko Haram too. In a related sense, are just domiciled in the northeast. But herdsmen are ravaging places in Enugu, in almost all the states of the Federation.
Everywhere, even Ogun State.
So I'm asking, how long will it take us
as
a country and as a nation to sit down and say, look, we need a lasting modus to deal with this matter once and for all? We're talking about grazing, and I'm coming back, the North has by far the largest expanse of land in this country. Why has it taken the Northern Governors Forum up until now, for instance, that they've not been able to say, okay, we have an irrigation master plan? Okay. Because the economy of the cattle, as Nigeria is, there are states have core economic competence areas. Okay. It will be difficult for you and I to say now that we're going to become cattle rearers. They have the expertise, they have the wherewithal. Why haven't they come to say, look, let's fine-tune a lasting solution to this crisis, particularly understanding that since May last year, the matter has become, very serious and has been on the front burner for national life.
Getting out of hand. Let me get Chidi talking also. Do you think the government really has been handling these with kid gloves?
Of course, because if we go back to the history of this menace, it is not just a one-day thing. It's been there for a very, very long time. And government had just been handling it with kid gloves, and no law. The laws are there to be enforced, but the will is not there, has never been there, and that's why this thing is continuously growing into this monstrous proportion. I am afraid that if it is not contained in the next few years, it might become another Boko Haram issue.
In the next few months.
Or in the next few months.
It is not already
it might become another Boko Haram issue, because before these invasions now that is kind of attracting the attention of people, they have been involved in all sorts of crimes. They've been raping women in their farmlands. They've been involved in kidnappings. Yes. They've been involved in all kinds of atrocities. Our government has been turning a blind eye. I want to share with this view the sentiments expressed that this thing boils down to the national question. Because look at the Niger Delta issue, for instance, when it started, and how it was contained then, and how it is presently being addressed. How come this thing has been known for several years? We have had several governments, even leaders from the south are afraid to handle it. These Fulani herdsmen initially were going about with arrows and spears, but now they go about with sophisticated guns. And nobody is talking, nobody is doing anything. It doesn't have to take a governor to run to Abuja to draw their attention to this national malaise.
Because Abuja should be aware now.
They should be aware, but nobody is doing anything.
But do you think it's political?
Yes,
the situation happened?
Yes, I think so.
And where does the politics come from?
The politics come from the fact that our leaders don't have the political will to face certain groups of people in the country. Because they are just coward. Or they are not just interested. Because, when we say things are political, it doesn't really mean that they are protecting the interest of one people over the other. It just means they are irresponsible.
They don't care.
It's not that they don't care, but they put their priorities upside down. They are more concerned about winning elections. They are more concerned about PR. They are more concerned about playing government, day-to-day running of the government. It gets so busy, You just need to have a friend who is a bosom friend and then become a government official, and then you know what we're talking about. It's no longer a friend for that period of time. So you can understand, they get sucked into the shenanigans of bureaucracy, meetings. We understand what's going on. And they do meetings, nothing. No action.
And even the security votes, they just spend it.
We found out about that. We found out about that in the last dispensation. So what I'm going to like to say here is that our government need to lead the fight against this menace. They need to come out with a tough stance and show some scapegoat. Give us some scapegoats. Honestly. Give us some, and I know that President Muhammadu Buhari can do it. He's got the political will, but we need to draw his attention to it because really, there have been a lot of issues. He came in during the time where we have multifaceted issues in the country. But every part of our socio-economy activities in this country should be the concern of the government and should be on the front burner.
Okay, but if you think, because I think, if I get you well, so the past governments have been trying to avoid this for a while because of politics. What about if Buhari steps into this and goes head on, like, okay, I'm going to face this situation? He's going to be stepping on toes. So that's politics again. If you get what I mean.
A couple of years ago, I think, this Fulani herdsmen issue comes up now, goes down later, comes up now, goes down later. But it's assuming a very dangerous dimension at the moment. But I think a couple of years ago, President Buhari himself led a delegation of some leaders to the southwest here. I think where he met Governor, was it Lamadation of Oyo State?
Oyo State.
And, discussions went on and all of that. So, we don't say these things because we just feel like saying them. We need to set the agenda and build an agenda and get Nigerians thinking and talking with the right facts and figures. My thinking is that if, when he was not president, he could play that role, that informal role, okay? I'm thinking that now that he is president and seeing that under his watch, the matters assuming a dimension he didn't assume in the near past. So why haven't we seen a quicker, swifter, because understanding his own background, he is one who should be able to understand
what's going on
and give proper perspective and interpretation to what is really going on.
Can I interrupt you to take Chidi?
Yes.
It's calling from Kaduna. Good evening, Chidi.
Good evening, Dapo.
Good evening, sir.
How is life today?
Yeah, life is good. I hope it's good with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It is quite unfortunate about what is happening in Benue State and some parts of Nigeria as it is today. In my own personal opinion, I am seeing this as the Fulani people, unfortunately, this is emphasis are mine. Understand?
Yes.
The Fulani people are seeing that since President Muhammadu Buhari is a Fulani, their kinsman. So whatsoever they do, they can get scot-free with it. But I want to those that can reach to President Muhammad Buhari to let the president know that these excesses should be stopped. Just like the governor has said, and so many other governors in the country have said, a lot of things need to be put in place in order to ensure that peace reigns in every strata of this our great nation.
All right.
One problem in a place is a problem in all over the place. Thank you very much, and God.
Thank you so much, Chidi. You see the connotation that the coloration there, the tribal sentiments gets creeping once in a while, and which is not what we need. Because even Arasi himself, the Inspector General of Police, was speaking some time ago and said these people are not even Nigerians.
Yeah.
Do you believe that?
They're not. Yes, I believe that.
They are not Nigerians because
well, the answer to that would be a yes and a no.
No.
But in any, but you see, but in any case, in those parts of Nigeria, really, where for some reasons people have cohabited in a particular sort of way for centuries, it is difficult really to say that our base of rapport or approach or relating is strictly based on nationality. I know what I'm talking about. You see, you look at Boko Haram. The fighters have a cause. It is irrelevant whether their troops are drawn from Chad or
not.
There's a certain kind of is it what do they call it? Is it conurbation? There's where they live together as a community. So you don't when we play that card of the non-Nigerians, whatever, a crime committed on our soil is an injury to Nigerians. That's one. Then so you see, last year when one of these killings took place, I remember that President Buhari was in the running for the presidency, and he made it categorically clear that the solution to the Fulani crisis is leadership. Yes. We need confidence building. In fact, there was a particular agency that took part in resolving the crisis in Plateau State, but later on had to move to Kaduna. We are asking, what are the templates that have been used in the past? Because it also forms part of the indigenous settler issue. Look, Dakpo, if we maintain a campaign of kicking people out of their communities, after 3 months, after 6 months, after 1 year, the owners of those places will be lost, and there will not be new landowners. Why are we delaying in dealing with this matter? I'm worried.
Tijani, you're calling from Niger State. Good evening to you.
Hello?
Hello, Tijani. You're live.
Yes. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Yes. Yes. How are you?
Fine, thank you. We're waiting for your contribution, please.
I commend your efforts.
Okay,
Yes,
thanks.
Yes. I want to say that this issue has gone beyond tribal sentiment. It has been there for quite a long time, and Buhari came and inherited the problem. But we should pray to God that Buhari, just like he handled this issue of Boko Haram, he should handle the issue of land. Like this is happening in Benue now. It just happened a couple of months back in Ojite, in Abuja. And you can't imagine how Fulani men were just, mutineering people, killing people. So I do hope that Buhari will handle this issue sincerely and get it done. But to stop talking about sentiment, there's no sentiment in this issue. The previous governments could not handle it. They've been there for long. They will say that Buhari should handle it politically and religiously.
All right, thank you very much, Danny. You said we should take the sentiment of the tribal sentiment out of it. And what you said the last time that the the IG is saying that these people are not even Nigerians. Is that not an indictment on the part of the IG himself?
Yes, of course, I think so, because this thing is happening because of entrenched interest. Entrenched interest in the sense that they don't want to rock the boat. People are protecting certain interests that we all know. I would prefer to be able to dissemble
that
this.
We all know, like everybody knows.
Yes.
Like I know also.
I guess we should.
I don't think that. I have to just take myself out of
Exactly. I don't think I need to.
We have what we call sacred cows, and when you touch a sacred cow, you know what happens? Trouble. So that is why government appears to be seemingly afraid of approaching the matter. Now, there are two things, if we actually want to dissemble this, in two things government should begin to think to do. they have to. It's not just about Buhari.
No, sorry, let me take you back. When you talk about sacred cows, are there people more than the people themselves?
Yes, in our geopolitical entity, looking back to our history, I think there are people who are designated, even if informally, as sacred cows. I said this because if these people were not, if you look at the history of the Fulanis, they are warriors, they are conquerors.
Yes.
All over history, wherever they are found, in all parts of West Africa and in the north, in North Africa, wherever they are found, that is their lifestyle. So because of their history, a lot of people are afraid of, approaching any issues that involves them. That's number one. And number two, they have this oligarchic system. And which is very, very difficult to actually dismember.
Can I quickly take Isaac, and I'll come back to you. He's calling from Lagos. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah. Good evening to all the gentlemen they have.
Thank you, Isaac. You're welcome.
You are talking about this Fulani movement.
Yes.
And somebody made mention of this governors forum. To tell you categorically that this governors forum, some of them, they are behind what is happening in this part of Nigeria. Especially last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, this Fulani people, they sacked people in Adamawa State. The last year, before election, in Taraba State, from Damu to the exit down to Okani, they took all the chief communities in that area. All of them own their houses, own their churches, and the modern governments, they are there. So nobody take action. So we need this present government to take a drastic measure to put an end of this. Because if this tribe people be asked, the thing will become another thing entirely.
All right. Thank you so much, Isaac. And Chidi, I will still have to hold you on because we need to go on a short break to end the program on TVC Entertainment, but the program continues on TVC Nigeria. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Chidi, I did interrupt you then, but as we round up on this same issue, so what's your observation? And the solution now to all this?
The solution is that we should de-emphasize government in this matter. Though government has a role to play, but government must be able to interface, not with because I see them as criminals, interface with the leaders.
That's the Fulani
leaders. The Fulani leaders, because they listen to them. And then they tell them about the implications of what they are doing, the harmful effects on the society and stuff like that. I think the thing might come down if government has the will to do that.
Do we reduce this grazing a habit of theirs? Or should we confine their cows I think the general opinion is that they should be confined, that they should have grazing grounds and stuff like that. But these guys are very itinerant in nature. You can't put. We should go beyond that, because grazing grounds may have worked elsewhere.
But now, if we have to do it now, there are a lot of things. We need to have a study team to do it in a way that it will be very suitable to our environment and our own situation.
All right, then. Let me go to BC. As we conclude on this particular topic, the solutions now.
Yeah, the solution is basically for the government to regulate this sector. And they can do that by giving these people, like we said, you know, I started off by saying give them education. They are ignorant. Ignorance is what causes a lot of people to do things that will be harmful to another human being. You know, because
without thinking of
the consequences. Okay. And secondly, the government can come up with a kind of licenses whereby those people who are moving earth from one region to another must have a license. That will help us to vet them, to know who they are. They will not be people without identity. Even if they're not the people responsible for the movement, they are the owner of the earth, and if anything happens, they will be held responsible.
Yes.
Just like we do in the education sector, whereby we hold responsible the owner of the school.
Yes.
If anything happens, you know, because they have to be registered.
Yes.
So if we can do something like that, get them to register, get them to pay for a license, and also we should have like a task force made up of joint military people that can go into their camps and search them, you know, spot checks, so that they don't carry weapons. They don't need weapons. They don't need to carry weapons in any kind of form.
I think they carry weapons because of the cattle rustlers, and that's another thing. Cattle rustlers,
that's another thing entirely. And that's the reason why I quite appreciate what Chidi was saying, that we cannot confine them, but that might be the solution. Because right now, the whole world is moving towards sustainability.
Even the rare cows in America, I don't see them.
This habit is not sustainable. It's destroying our natural habitat. It's destroying lives. It's causing a lot of intertribal, conflict. And the security of the entire nation is threatened because of this sort of activity. So I really believe that government will need to come in, regulate.
These people have to be confined to one place, because at the end of the day, the federal government is saying that we need to go into agriculture. Imagine you have invested in banana plantation, a big one, and you have cows just feed on your bananas. You won't be happy about it.
They just come, like Olufala said, you know, they just went and said, okay, Oga, from today, give us that portion of your farm. Let's begin to use it. You know, so that sort of thing. For me, I think that even if we're going to be having ranches down south, it should be that government wants to invest in that sector, and then formally make let's say an opening for headers, you know, who should come in and also take part, invest.
Like
that's one.
PPP.
Then number two, in addition to what BC said earlier, I think we need a sort of formalization or professionalization of that sector to say, okay, I mean, to
get them registered,
as we standardize agriculture, this is going to be the new face of our cattle industry. Then again, but for now that, you know, we are having the issue of people who are armed and who have the capacity to knock on your door any day, and suddenly you have some neighbors that or visitors that you're not even expecting. I think that there are still certain leakages in the security sector, you know, that need to be plugged into. Once we plug those leakages, government ought to be able to, through her agencies, track their movement.
Yes.
You know, get back to those communities that have been victims of their atrocities, build bridges, and see how the communities themselves, you know, can begin to also help government in terms of providing information and ensuring that the menace of the Fulani headers is not necessarily that we are fighting them, but that we all seek a better nation. And to build Nigeria as one is a task of everybody. Until we build a certain level of ideological collectivism around it, we may continue to have them, have it a kind of work of them versus us. It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be. And Nigerians, some Nigerians woke up to queues in the filling stations today, and which is a very horrible one. We have to talk about that one also. Chidi, how has the situation in your area?
Well, this thing keeps coming up and going down. I mean, in the last few months, you know, there's this feeling that definitely it will come to stay. I mean, this fuel thing, because 3 weeks ago we were up in arms with it. It subsided. It came up again.
Well, some are saying because the importers or the marketers cannot lay their hands on dollars, that's why this is happening.
I think basically we need an explanation from the government, because for every fuel scarcity that we have a different reason for it. So this particular one,
this particular one, there should be a reason for it.
There should be a reason for it.
This is what do you think is the reason?
I didn't guess.
Yeah, what do you think is the reason for this
there
scarcity?
are 2 reasons. The first one is the removal of subsidies. Because subsidies have been removed, only the NNPC are bringing in products into the country, and the product they're bringing in
cannot be enough
for us. That's one. And even though they are working, the NNPC is working round the clock to ensure that they provide products for us. We now have the stakeholders in that sector, the PPPRA. They are actually holding the whole of the nation to ransom right now.
You mean the regulatory
agency, because they have changed their executive, and they are protesting that they want the person they removed back.
So you mean just a group of people?
And as such, we now have about 6 to 8 vessels. I even visited the jetty in Apa this afternoon. We have about 6 to 8 vessels that have not discharged because the PPRA, because they are on strike. The people that are meant to give them the clearance to discharge are not giving them the clearance. And we need to understand that there are knock-on effects of all these practices. You know, people are doing things with impunity in this country. You know, it's just like, it's so chaotic and it's so annoying because...
So you're saying some group of people in NAFDAC can still hold us to ransom now because they removed the DG of NAFDAC?
Maybe.
So this is sad. If the picture she's painting is true, number one, the papers tomorrow should tell us this. We shouldn't be guessing what is happening. You'll be at the filling station for hours guessing why is there scarcity.
And that's the reason why we don't have electricity as well, because they need the products to generate power. So you can find out that the PHCN situation has gone really worse in the last 2 months. You know? So all those things are interlinked.
And it's worrisome also.
And it's worrisome.
The federal government, you see, and I don't think we should get rid of saying these things until the change comes, you know. I think that government needs
the change eventually comes, or the change comes. I think we have the change.
No, you see,
when change is
both the objective and subjective sides of change have to be made manifest. And we are not seeking change from government. We're seeking change from within ourselves. You know, that's the fundamental thing.
But we need government to lead it.
I'm coming to that point.
But the government led by removing the PPRA person, but the people are saying
that's not it.
That's not the change.
That's exactly where the problem is. You know, the sweeping purge that we saw, was it early this week or last week?
Last week.
The sweeping purge. Leadership cannot thrive in a vacuum. And in this particular instance, both the vacuum that's been created and the evacuators, you know, of that particular space that you know where the vacuum now
created already.
No, I don't believe so.
Where the vacuum now exists.
Do you think there's really a vacuum?
There's no vacuum.
Of course, there is a vacuum.
No,
let me ask.
There's a vacuum.
Can I quickly ask Abdullah if there's a vacuum?
Because government is a continuum.
Abdullah, you're calling from Kano. Good evening, sir.
Yes.
Good evening. How is work?
Yeah, fantastic. How's the fuel situation in your neighborhood?
Oh, that one is different. It's a serious matter in entirety. But what I'm trying to talk about that equal and elsewhere.
Okay.
Because I'm from the north, so I'm trying to contribute towards that direction.
Okay.
I think what Nigeria needs, we need 170 million Buhari.
170 million Buhari.
Buhari in Nigeria. We should not say Buhari should do everything.
I don't even get what I'm saying.
In my own little knowledge, in the north we have a vast of land. We have places where they can really like the men who graze
do their whole business without even interfering with those farm people. Because as it is now in this country, we know that food is a problem, so we need food. So the government should come in. They should be that lady said the right thing, that they need to sensitize people. That sensitization matters. Both the healthmen and even the society at large. So at the end of the day, they should be able to curtail this system of killing innocent people and other things. That's my contribution.
All right, thank you very much, Abdullahi. I'll let you continue.
So as I was saying, look at what the president did at Ports Authority. Or was it Customs where he appointed
Abdullahi, or was it
Hamid Ali? In fact, following the principle of destructive thinking, he brought in a man from outside the system. There was no vacuum. You can imagine, you can see the things that are taking place there, where they now also have to declare their assets, because of course, if you understand the customs, you will know what I'm talking about. But in the case of these agencies, when government says the most senior officers should take over, there is insecurity.
Is that the reason why we should be facing first scarcity?
That is why now you see workers have risen up. If we understand the economic consequence of having a hold up on a street or on a major road, if you understand the economic consequence of having fuel scarcity, now it is also entering into power generation. That in another 24 to 36 hours, prices of certain things may go up. Yeah. Tells you that, look, if there is no need to be, to be meting out half measures into the system, government thrives on leadership, and leadership has to do with competence. When you remove, at least for certain very basic and sensitive sectors, you don't leave a power vacuum. How can workers in an entire government agency hold the nation to ransom? Vessels are at sea, products are available, but they cannot come to land. The consequence of that is that those who have products already in the market, we need to hoard them. And hoarding and hiking go pari passu. Yeah. So why do we have to face a man-made problem where government could have actually stepped in, filled the vacuum, provided the leadership, and let life go as smoothly as it should?
Chidi, do you want to come in there?
A little. There's a failure of leadership in this angle. When you remove the purge, they not take serious examination, review of certain issues affecting certain organizations. You don't just remove for the sake of it's not a pastime thing, something you just do for the joy of it. You look at certain agencies, look at their threshold and stuff like that, and be able to know when and how to remove the chief executive of the agency. Government is a very methodical thing, and when you remove certain very sensitive, the chief executives of certain agencies, there should be a standby team that will address the issues that may crop up. But what we have witnessed is that government just did it and
hands off.
But
can I quickly take Hamid from Niger State, and I'll come back to you. Good evening, Hamid.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
Wonderful.
You are doing a very wonderful job.
Thank you very much.
How is Baba Tunde?
He's on leave. He'll be back soon.
Jide is fine.
This issue of fuel scarcity we are discussing, I do hope that the scarcity is natural. Nigerians are very good at sabotaging the matter. Don't you think there is artificial topic in this?
What you said.
I think we should look at this from that aspect. And the government should try to cut this artificial scarcity perpetration so that the person can go good. And we need more refineries.
Yes.
That's what the government should do. So that God will then everything will be okay.
All right, then. Thank you so much. I thought we had the refineries working. All of a sudden, they're not working again.
sabotage.
If the refinery, I'm talking to you now, because if the refineries were working now, we shouldn't be thinking of...
No, they're not working. The refineries are down. We know that. I don't know the reason, but I know that our refineries are down at the moment.
So why were we told the refineries were working? That's the sad part of it. But not to full capacity, but they said the refineries were working.
When that claim
initially was.
When that claim was made, okay, the active principle that was enunciated to the Nigerian public was the issue of body language. And some of us were saying that, look, At the risk of being
We need more
polemical,
body
okay?
language.
No,
Body
body language does not do it. Inanimate object don't react to body language. Even Mr. President himself said that, look, what you're seeing happening was because of the work that had been ongoing for some time, that which even I inherited. Now, my question, logically, would be, what happened to the process that was in place, that sort of bloomed at the time when he came to power, and whether that process was carried through?
What process is that you're talking about?
Or not?
Which one?
That
Which
makes
process?
it work.
The process that makes it work.
Yes,
Okay.
that means, because quite frankly speaking, I mean, we are journalists and we are bound to corroborate what we see. Scientifically at least. So I mean, body language does. I mean, we can't situate that in scientific
You
terms.
see?
We can only give explanation based on what we see, and what we see should be facts.
Okay, Vincent from Imo, good evening. I lost that call. You were going to chip in.
Yes, I was going to say that I don't believe that there's a vacuum, because really most chief executives are not the one running activities, operations. They are just there to take decisions, right? They're not the expert. Yes, I can say that because I'm a chief executive myself, and even there are certain things in my organization I don't even know how it works, So I don't believe that removing a chief executive creates vacuum. That's not what we're talking about, because if that happens, then that means the systems were not in place. Systems should be in place in every organization.
So why are the workers on strike? They're
on strike. It's political.
But
it is
basically
just
not panic.
political.
Should not panic.
A lot of things that happen in Nigeria.
That was political.
Listen,
what is the political of it?
I need to let you know one thing, that I was a member of the student union when I was in University of Lagos, and I know that majority of what we used to do in those days were being instigated by some elements. They come to us
in this society
and they try to incite us. Yes, that's what I mean, that it's political.
So let's run the system.
Are we not insinuating
so
that
we
maybe
cannot.
Another political party?
No, I'm not saying that. Please, can I just make my point? I'm not talking about. I'm just saying it's
just
political.
within them.
Within them, there may be so many reasons. There may be what they call vested interest.
So this we could say this is artificial scarcity, and hopefully it will be for.
I believe that the government is doing something about
while.
it, because President
But government should be
Buhari
able
has
to
called.
find a reason why in the last 9 months we have been grappling with incessant
I kind of wonder.
scarcity.
Maybe they have to sit on that. We still need to talk more about the last topic. And moving on, recently there has been clamor by Nigerians for President Muhammadu Buhari to call a major economic conference where the current challenges facing the country would be thoroughly discussed by the states and federal government with input from the private sector. The conference was discussed at the 65th National Economic Council, a meeting held on January 28th this year. Today, newspaper pages were agog with the news that President Buhari has approved that the conference be convened next month. So, what should be the focus of the conference? Actually, I'll start with you.
That's another
big one.
Well, it's not a big one.
Okay,
we've been having conferences, we've been having summits on economy, but I think somehow, either by design or default, the government started without having a focus on the economy. There were other distractions, maybe corruption and stuff like that. So there was actually no focus on the economy. And I say this because when you look at the appointments that have been made, very few were made to direct the economy of this nation. The economy drives the engine of the nation. If you, for instance, you have 4 media aids.
But we have a Ken Akabueze ban of recent.
Of recent. But even at that, his portfolio does not directly impinge on the economy. We need to have an economic team because we are a developing nation.
But there's one headed by the vice president.
Well, it's informal. That one is not the kind of thing. Okay, we expect, for instance, that the Minister of Agriculture, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of National Planning, and some appointees of the President should be co-opted into a team that will constantly look into our. That is why the dollar. That's why we have this dollar crisis now, because somehow it was not prioritized. The economy was not prioritized.
And some people, some few people just decide how much the dollar will change for.
Cashed in on that lacuna to disorganize a lot of things. Government is just waking up from slumber on that now.
Okay.
By organizing these.
So what do you think should be number one on the priority list?
The Naira. The Naira is the symbol of the sovereignty of every nation. If we get it right, every other thing will fall into place.
Okay. How do we?
I don't believe it's the Naira, because economic indices are not just the money, the medium of exchange. It is the GDP. We need to grow our GDP. For a very long time, we have been dependent on oil. And the reason why we say we're in recession is because we're not really listing all our natural resources that can be developed into export. All our cash crops that can be developed into export. All our brains that can be developed into knowledge-based economy. So if what the government needs to do now is to look for experts in education. Listen, we need education to drive development.
Yes.
It's the only vehicle for sustainable development. So we need to start first teaching people to know the right thing to do, right? When people know the right thing to do, they will make informed choices about their future, and they will become not only civil, but they will be economically viable. Because going to school is not just getting a degree. Going to school is to give you a brighter mind to make informed choices about your future. It's not about using your degree to do what you've gone to school to do. We've seen a lot of medical doctors today that are doing other things. We've seen a lot of lawyers that are doing other things. So basically, getting a degree is getting a discipline. And that's why they will say, what's your discipline?
What's your discipline? Did you hear? It seems the solution, to me, it sounds like a long-term solution. But we need an immediate solution, like a tomorrow solution.
No, even me, from the start, I didn't buy into the idea of a national economic conference, and very clear, for very obvious reasons.
Money.
It's not even about money. President Buhari's cabinet, from the beginning to the end, is an economic conference for Nigeria. You have Fashola, you have Fayemi, Amechi, etc. Udodoma. Who, by the way, when the budget disgrace came up, when the budget brouhaha was beginning to, to brew and to blow, I was surprised and well a bit disappointed that Mr. President appointed an advisor on budget to the Minister of Budget.
Yes.
After he fired the DG in the Office of Budget,
yes,
and left the minister.
Yes.
Worried, what route did the budget really take? Did the minister see it? Because if you just hold on.
I get where you're coming from.
You fire the DG of Budget Office, but you leave the minister there. Then you appoint an advisor on budget to the Minister of Budget. With due respect, it is the president that needs an advisor on the economy, not the minister. Because do you mean to tell me now that tomorrow he's going to appoint an advisor on information and culture to the Minister of Information and Culture? If the ministers need aids, they should be given free hand to choose their own aids. So I have my worries. In the past,
are you calling for the head? In the past, are you calling for the head of the Minister of Budget?
Not necessarily. No, not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Cyril, is it yes or no?
If he goes ahead to convene such a conference, it will mean two things to me as an ordinary citizen.
That they don't know what they're doing.
It will mean that, for one, the president's ministers are incompetent, or that somehow there has been a poverty of leadership of harnessing those skills and credit, and competence of Nigerians who are chosen and seen to be beholden to Nigerian people, to form the cabinet. There are a lot of blueprints. As soon as he won the election, Obasanjo gave him one. There was the one headed by Ahmed Jordan, was another one. Manufacturers Union of Nigeria formed one and gave to him.
So you think it's overwhelming?
Last year, there was the National Economic Summit group that held a meeting in Abuja. The people was there. Which conference I also made a request and got a copy of the report. So there is a plethora of issues. Even last year, I think Minister for Investment was it Aganga. There's this Nigerian Industrial Revolution Master Plan. What conference do we need again to discuss? What I think is lacking.
It looks like a duplication of duty now.
We have been
Some people are doing the work which the ministers are being paid to do.
That is what I'm saying.
As we wrap up,
we have a lot of, we've been having conferences on the economy for a very long time. My sister talked about growing the GDP. I mean, our economy has been based for a very long time on this cola job situation. What we need now is to have a Marshall Plan, not on the economy, but on the Naira. That Marshall Plan will strengthen the Naira, and from there, that will be the right vehicle.
That's the immediate solution.
Yes.
Okay, in conclusion.
Yeah, well, I don't believe that the Naira will be strengthened without the products being there to strengthen it. Because really, the foreign exchange situation is about the balance of trade.
Yes.
So why
we should have something.
Thank you. How do we want to strengthen the Naira if
world.
we have no products? You know, our gross domestic product is not increasing, and we want to grow the Naira.
Wonderful.
It's totally not on. So we need to look at, our government needs to lead and create enabling environment for young Nigerians to be creative, and let us start doing things with our hands. Let us start doing what we need first. We are 170 million, for crying out loud. If we can produce what we need for ourselves and be self-sustainable, then we will go somewhere.
Wonderful.
We will move from A to B.
Wonderful. Hope to have more of you around.
Thank you.
Dr. B.C. Akinlabi, I have to say thank you so much. Cyril, I know you wanted to say something, but maybe next week. Cyril Abaku, lovely having you around. Yeah. Chidi Obineche, thank you also for coming around today. And that's all on Journalist Hangout today and this week. Join us next week for fresh episodes of the program. And don't forget to watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11 p.m. I am Dakbo Aruwa Joy. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.